Live. Alright, it says I'm live, so I'm just gonna assume that I'm live. It would be good if somebody in the chat could tell me if they could hear me. I'm gonna tweet about it right now. What we'll be doing first... Oh, I probably should not have put up the last slide as what we're looking at. Why don't we go back to the top? There we go. That's what this is about. So... Oops. Oh, well... There we go. That's good enough. So, this is what it's about, but I have to tweet about this. So, give me a second here. Very professional Fred stream, like all Fred streams, you know? All two of them, this being the second. Hopefully we'll get a 1080p copy this time. We'll see. I tried to fix it. I don't know if it worked, but I think, because I did this recording on my computer, and I lowered the resolution so that it would be smaller, and I forgot to turn it back up. But that's what happened last time. So that shouldn't happen this time. I tweet way too much. Can't even see my own tweets.
I'm hearing some echo.
Yeah, I quit Telegram. That should help. You probably heard the echo of the notification sound. Quote tweet. Okay. This stream is live now. There we go. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. As I wrote on Twitter and wrote... Oh, fuck. God damn it. Firefox crashed, but it doesn't matter because I'm not using that for this. But, yeah, obviously we are a free software stan in this world. So, I don't use proprietary software at all. Actually, the computer has only free software, including the BIOS. So, I'm kind of like Richard Stallman in that way. And people try to say that Richard Stallman isn't autistic. I don't believe that. But, anyway. Let's see here. Okay. So, this is about the Medium article I wrote about basically the BAYC racism controversy. For those who don't know, BAYC is what is colloquially called apes. You know what a lot of people have been joking about? You know, the apes. My apes got stolen. What happened to my apes? All of that. That's what BAYC is. They are, if you want to put it in, you know, factual terms, they are the largest NFT project that has basically ever existed. They were very early, but they obviously weren't the first. We had CryptoKitties before that, and a whole bunch of other stuff before that, but they are the one that basically grifted the most, you know, made the most money. That's my opinion. But anyway, as people may or may not know, in the last 2 months, oh God, longer, of course, Ryder has been at it forever, but in the last 2 months, I would say it has come kind of more into the online consciousness, public consciousness, if you can call it that, mainstream consciousness. Well, mainstream among people that care about internet shit. That the BAYC founders and the BAYC apes themselves contain racist elements. And I kind of heard about it and didn't look too much into it, and I kept hearing about it. And then when I finally looked into it, I mean, I was shocked at how blatant it was. I mean, I didn't even know what the BAYC logo looked like, you know. I'm not into NFTs. I am kind of against them, which is why I have a guest. We'll be having a guest at the end, to kind of counter some of my skepticism, try to red pill me a little bit, NFT pill me. Well, I don't know if it'll work, but very much doubt it. God, can you imagine if I was like the only furry that actually believed in NFTs? It'd be insane. But, oh, as if I'm not crazy enough. Okay, well, this is actually Hellworld Dispatch number 4. As you know, the most professional podcast on the internet, so-called podcast. I usually just call them recordings, but let's get into it. So what I'm going to do first is just go through like what I call the 4 proofs and the 2 theories. So the 4 proofs are what I think are the 4 strongest pieces of evidence that BAYC was obviously started by people. At least some of the people that started it were very, very, very aware of racist alt-right can culture bullshit, basically. And that they purposely designed the project, its logo, different elements of the, apes themselves. For example, this one I think is the most racist of all of them, but this element, which I think is called a trait in NFTs, of the kamikaze headband, but we'll get to that. But this is literally the logo, and shocking. First of all, the design is so different. Like it doesn't look like the way that the teeth are situated is not at all similar to the Totenkopf. But yet, there are the same number. They're exactly 18. Wow, what did I do there? There we go. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously you can count on yourself, but I did just to show that that is something that I don't understand how that happens with everything else. Like, okay, if this was it, if this was all, I guess I tend to be somebody that's very skeptical. I tend to be somebody that doesn't jump to conclusions, and if this was it, it's just the 18 teeth, even though this one, tooth number 1, looks so out of place, I would say, alright, well, a fun little conspiracy theory. Everybody likes a good conspiracy theory, but I don't know that there's anything there. However, that's not all there is. And, I guess another part of this evidence before I move on from it is the fact that they attacked the guy who, was really driving this theory. And we'll talk about him later, but his name is Ryder Rips. I don't know his real name, don't really care to know. But, they attacked him hard. They've sued him for trademark infringement over this logo. And they have done all kinds of shit with the legal system about this. Like, they have filed Digital Millennium Copyright Act requests, and they have just done a whole bunch of other bullshit. So, this is an obvious parody to me. This logo is based on the SS Totenkopf. I mean, that's a funny parody. Come on. And especially how he put it so that it says this logo is based, right? So you have the BAYC people, oh yeah, it's a based logo. And then, they read the bottom on the SS Totenkopf, fuck. So, that's funny to me. I mean, I get the troll value of the logo, and I don't necessarily understand why anybody would sue over that. I mean, if you're so mad about it that you're suing, it kind of goes to show that it's kind of a guilty conscience that you can't handle a meme. Because if it was just a meme, if I had just written, well, this logo's shit, you know what I mean? This logo is just garbage. Well, I doubt they would have cared. But saying that it's based on the SS Totenkopf when it's obvious, very fucking close, I mean, the rough edge is another thing that's so weird. Because they use this fucking weird, normal in these kinds of logos, but weird in this context. Modernist, humanist, sans serif font. And then they put a rough edge on the border. It doesn't make sense. And I think this is probably one of the strongest pieces of evidence out of all of them. I can't say that would be enough alone, but we'll get to, what parts of this alone I think are relevant. Hold on, I'm just going to open it so I can see the chat, because I said Firefox crashed, because it did. So let me... Sorry, there we go, let me mute it. Alright, I can see the chat now. Okay, so that's the first major proof. But then there's this one. So this one, for me, was actually the one that moved me from the, okay, it might be racist, but I won't stake my reputation on it column, to, holy shit, this is super racist. Like unbelievably, unashamedly, very fucking racist. Wow, how did that happen? You know, that, and I understand it might not be that shocking if you don't know Japanese history or Japanese culture or anything about, you know, Japanese language, but these people that made this NFT were super smart about everything else. Like, they had this helmet. I almost added the helmet as a proof. We almost had 5 proofs, but I decided, you know what? It's just, yes, it's used in alt-right imagery, but it doesn't, like, the other proofs are just, I wanted my 4 proofs. So, this is kind of a response to the Fillion video, right? His method is more just tell everybody everything. You know what I mean? Every connection, no matter how galaxy brain, no matter how much you need to look at an ARG and, you know, decipher the codes and, oh God, what's it called? Like, you know, do a null replacement cipher. You know, that's all well and good. Like, that's a method. That's not my method, though. I tend to only feel that people's time is worth the important stuff, you know? And if you want, on your own time, you can go into the Twitter threads and really browse and get all the Galaxy Brain stuff on your own time. But, so that's why my proofs, there are only 4. But, I mean, that's not to say that there are only 4 possible proofs. It's just that I think there are only 4 super strong proofs that together paint a damning picture, if that helps. So, I mean, if people want to debate me on Twitter or whatever, I am not going to be just defending everything Ryder Rips has ever done, or everything, because ultimately, he doesn't even necessarily matter to the story. You know, I mean, he matters from a historical perspective, right? He matters to the fact that he discovered this, I think. Although somebody was on my Twitter saying, he stole this conspiracy theory from somebody else. Well, first of all, you can't steal a fact, right? So, I don't know what that means. And second of all, it's not a conspiracy theory. So, that was stupid. But, in any case. This proof here, so, these people, and if you want any explanation of anything that I don't cover well, the Medium article covers it very well. It's my pinned tweet on Twitter. So, this proof here, you have, like, this ape, which people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, with, like, a kamikaze Hachimaki. So, in Japanese culture, a Hachimaki is it's a headband that is worn at, like, special events and things like that. There are many possible sayings to put on a Hachimaki. Kamikaze is not the most common one. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it has a ultranationalist connotation, for sure. Even in the places where a Hachimaki would be expected. Even there. Like, even on Japanese people, that most Japanese people, you know, in my... Obviously, I've been learning Japanese since, God... age 16. I'm 28 now, 12 years. So, you know, I feel like I understand this stuff pretty well. You know, it has, it maybe it's not ultranationalist right wing in the places it's supposed to be. But the problem is, these are not the places it's supposed to be. Like, a sushi chef would never, ever wear, you know, they can wear a headband rarely, but not like this kind of Hachimaki, which is called, Hinomaru. Basically, the literal translation, oh God, like sun, you know, the circle of the sun, like with this red circle, which represents Japan, the rising sun. It's weird. It's fucking weird. You would not see this. And what makes it racist to me, you know, beyond the fact that sushi chefs do not wear them, and they got everything else right. Like, they got the Prussian helmet right. Like, the exact word. Like, they knew that it was Prussia, not German. Who the fuck knows that? You know? But they get this wrong. They don't know that it's a Hachimaki and not a sushi chef headband. What fucking sushi chef is wearing this? None of them, you know? A sushi chef in Japanese is called an itamai. But anyway, what really tips it over for me, other than this Pepe, is this. The fact that under the Hirohito government, the these exact same Hachimaki were given both to kamikaze pilots and as rewards to other people, like mostly in the Air Force, like high-ranking officers. This one has a poem on it. One thing you might criticize is that, oh, well, they're backwards. Well, they're actually not. You see, the problem is these people are racist as fuck and stupid. So they didn't understand that in the Japanese language, traditionally, you write it top to bottom, right to left. So the writing direction, get an arrow here, right, goes like this, okay? Goes down, and then goes like up to the next row, and then it goes down again. And that's the writing direction. So if you only have two characters, right, that means that you're going to write kami first and then kaze. That's the right way to do it. Now, I understand that on Amazon there are also some reversed ones. Those are the ones that they sell to dumb foreigners. Not to be rude, but kind of, yeah. I mean, those are the ones that they sell to people that don't even know the language, that just want it to, that just want to be racist, honestly, Like, people were pointing to the fact that it was on fucking Amazon as, like, proof. Hello? Amazon has had a problem for many, many, many years with racist shit on it. And, I'm not saying that if you bought this necessarily, you're a racist, but I think that ultranationalists in Japan might be trolling you a little bit, I mean, getting you to kind of wear, their attire and not knowing what it means. Yeah, this is the one that's really super fucked up. I can't defend this at all. In my article, I really go into a lot of the, nuances of this, but especially as a foreigner to come in and to, because Japanese people already know that the word the word kamikaze is used as a slur against Japanese people. They know that. And so, like, for a foreigner to be using this word, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, proof 3. So now, somebody was already criticizing me on Twitter over this one. I even wrote in my article, I think that this is probably the weakest one, but yet I include it just because of the ridiculous lengths that they have gone to censor it. And one of these Twitter people was like, oh, you're just so young, you don't respect the privacy rights of the founders of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, these billionaire founders. Somebody think of the privacy rights. Hello. Obviously that's fucking stupid. Nobody in the history of the world has ever been like, gee, billionaires, let me really think about their privacy rights. Oh, Jesus Christ. This app is such shit. It crashed, but I think you can still hear me. Anyway, just our guest that will be coming on later. I like how on Linux, when the fucking Discord app crashes, it relaunches immediately. Very strange. Anyway. Okay, I will talk about this. So, the app developer, I guess NFT issuer of the Bored Apes and also 2 other projects, which are both NFT projects, CryptoPunks and MeBits. Now, somebody was also talking to me about how there is a NFT called Milady. I will ask our guest about that, because I don't know what it's about, and I really do want to know how it's related to this, because that is obviously going to be some misogynist stuff. Like, it's going to be, I know what it's going to be. I barely looked at it, but I know what it's going to be. In any case, this is so clear, because when it was discovered that, this might be a reference to Kali Yuga, what's the thing that they say? It's like they literally just Googled Yuga to try to think of another reason. Like, it's that level of just insane, you know, obfuscation and hiding away. Because if they were actually Hindu, if they actually believed in the Hinduist religion, right, they would just be happy to say, yeah, I believe in this because I'm a Hinduist. Period. Right? And then this wouldn't have been a problem at all. This whole third proof would not exist. Right? But because they decided to just, like, obfuscate, hide away, send a DMCA to the Internet Archive to try to take down the Twitter profile of this clown, one of the founders, real name Wiley Arono. I think Gordon Garner is his ridiculous ape name. You know, having Kali Yuga in their profile from 2011. I mean, that is not nothing. And, you know, surfing the Kali Yuga is clearly a alt-right meme. I mean, it's obvious. And, you know, they sell t-shirts of it. They joke about it on 4chan. Yeah, I don't know about this. It's just so obvious to me. But obviously, I understand that people that don't get online culture and stuff might not be believing it. Well, my audio's only on the right ear. That's very possible. It's just, yeah. I could try to fix it, I guess. Let's see. I'm not going to try very hard. If I can't fix it after, like, a little while, then it's just not going to happen. But I will try. Advanced audio properties. Okay, let me try to balance it to the right. Did that? No, that did not. Nope, that did not help either. Well, I have to force it to be mono, is what I have to do. God. Okay, I'm not bothering with that. Yeah, it's only the right ear. Sorry. I know how to fix it. That's just how it's going to be. Extremely professional streaming. Oh, Lord, have mercy on our souls. Okay. Well, let's move right along then, so maybe our guest will be speaking from both ears, you know? Jesus. Oh. Alright, proof 4. So, the founders' names and their online personas are very, very suspect. Especially two of them. I only really go into two of them, even though I understand that there are connections with the other ones, you know? It's just, as I was saying, I'm not trying to go all galaxy brain on you, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say, okay, SASS. So that, because of this old thing from 1944, where it's like, okay, split the SA and the SS. I'm not trying to do that to you guys, you know? I mean, that might even be true. I don't know. But it's something that's so out there that, you know, I can see why people might not believe it. And I would probably not believe it if somebody told me that. You know, I would be like, do you have schizophrenia? You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, and I would be like, you know, maybe get help. I don't know. If that was the only reason somebody was freaking out, I would not believe it. Sorry. But I do think that the two names here that really matter are, well, first of all, this fucked up guy, Emperor Tomato Ketchup. God, that is an old ass 4chan meme. I mean, that really goes back. So basically, I put the Wikipedia article here, but it's this movie that was from Japan in 1970, and it's a child porn movie. Like, it's banned in basically every country, as far as I know. It contains child porn scenes, and God, back in the day, you know, in the 70s, the film industry was a little different, right? And I guess you could say that it was like an art film or whatever. Like, you know, if you're just trying so hard to defend these people, you know, which I'm done with them. They are indefensible. Well, all of this shit together is indefensible, but, you know, I do try to be fair to critics. yeah, I don't know what you say to that. It's something else. It literally a child porn movie that people would, and it's a 4chan meme because if you set it like on certain websites because they had automatic software that would try to remove child porn, right? It would trigger those filters. So it's a troll meme, obviously. So, all right, the other guy, Gargamel, I'll be this one, top left. So top left and bottom left are the two that I think are the most obviously suspect. Gargamel, okay, he's called Garga now, and this kind of drives it home to me because there are reasons to think that Gargamel is not necessarily an anti-Semitic trope. However, in the context of 4chan, it is. And if he was, again, just like the Kali Yuga thing, if this was innocent, why didn't you just say, I'm a fan of the Smurfs, didn't mean anything by it, sorry guys, right? And keep his full name just how it was. That's the right thing to do if that's actually what happened. But no, what does he do? Hide it away, change his name to just Garga. I mean, come on. How dumb do they think people are? I'm not that dumb for sure. I see people hiding their shit away, and it's crazy. Okay, before I end this slide, and I get into the main topic of the podcast, which is what I want to talk to our guest about, is the why. Because that's what I think is actually, I think that this is a closed case. I put up the Medium article. These 4 proofs are solid. There's no reason to still be defending these people as not racist, I think. You can argue about, which of them is racist, and, why they did this, which is what we'll be doing. But, as far as, the core are the apes racist? Yes. The answer is yes. It's clear. It's just the why that is not clear. But before I move on, I will point out that this guy, Gordon Goner, that would be Aaron now again, the monkey ape, rather, he chose as his, cringe lord Web3 me. It looks an awful lot like the I'm growing stronger meme, to me. And because we know that Gordon is basically the boss, right? He's the boss, as far as I understand it. If anybody is putting these dog whistles in, it's him. It would be weird that he's the one that has the, the obvious 4chan far-right, alt-right meme is his monkey, ape, whatever. Alright, let's get to the 2 theories. So, theory 1. So, first I want to say that I am not sure which of these 2 theories is true, and I'm so unsure that I wanted to flip a coin to decide which one would be number 1 and which one would be number 2. So I got tails, so that's why there's a quarter there. So that's how unsure I am. That's how unsure I think all of this is. I think that Fillion's theory, which is theory 2, could be true. This theory, which I'll call theory 1, by the way, Ryder Rips did say on Twitter that he was thinking about this theory. He just hadn't said anything about it, I guess. But I guess this one is, I don't want to call it my theory because it's not my theory. I don't know which one is true. It's just the one that I brought to people's attention. When I first made all my tweets holy fuck, this is super racist, what the hell, yeah. So, but anyway, theory 1 is just that the founders, or some of the founders of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, knew racist 4chan culture, and they wanted to get popular on Biz, which is the finance board on 4chan. And they know that 4chan is full of racists, and so they decided, well, what's the smart thing to do, guys? Let's put some racist stuff in there so that we look quote-unquote based, right? And that so we get, a whole bunch of traffic. That seems plausible to me if you don't have any, morals, which obviously these, Okay, we'll get to that in the next segment, but I don't believe in NFTs, so I don't think that most NFT issuers have any morals at all. So, I'm sure I will be fought on that point, but you'll get to hear that. Yeah, I mean, but okay, if if some NFT issuers have morals, these ones definitely do not. I think we can say that clearly. Like, they're suing somebody for a parody of their logo. They have totally lost it. So, yeah. Was this trolling 4chan in general to try to get 4chan people involved? Because one thing that, when I first thought of this theory, I decided to look at old archives of the Biz board and see if it worked. I don't have the post here, but it was in the fill-in video where somebody says, holy shit, this Bored Ape Yacht Club is really based. I just put it all together. So clearly it did work on some of the target audience. However, most of the sentiment I saw was negative, so I don't know that it worked. I don't know that it worked that well. That doesn't mean that they didn't try it, though. It's like most marketing campaigns fail, so that doesn't mean that they didn't try it. It just means that it wasn't very successful, but it still did reach some of its target audience. One thing I noted, though, was that, remember the Groypers? They were these assholes that had, pépés that were very ugly, cringe looking. And they would, white nationalists, mostly fans of some douchebag called Nick Fuentes. His fans called themselves Groypers. I mean, they mostly kind of disappeared, and then the apes / NFT boosters appeared. I felt like that kind of was overnight. And, if you think of the other people, right, because I guess you could say that NFTs lean conservative, lean right-wing. And the reason I say that is because at least the reason that most people get into NFTs is to raise money, hustle culture, which is what I talk about in Hellworld Dispatch number 3. So this is oh my god, it's my first sequel, right? So, the Hellworld Dispatch number 3 was in January 2022. That was 6 months ago. Good lord. Anyway, 6 months later, here we are. With the sequel, number 4. In any event, yeah, I wonder if they failed with the 4chan people, but they knew that the memes are pretty much the same across the entire alt-right, shitty chat app universe, as I call it, like Telegram, Discord to an extent, Signal, those places. So I think perhaps that they just pivoted to, think of all the losers that hang around in Ron Watkins' chat, I think that's kind of what happened. So, okay, that's the theory number 1, which again, does not mean it's the more likely one. I tossed a coin. Alright, theory 2. Basically Fillions. Exact theory. His thesis. It's equally possible to me at this point. I need to see more evidence. More research needs to be done. There are 4 of these guys, and one of them is going to crack, I think. So, I think that we will know soon which one of these theories is true, I hope. But if this theory is correct, then it's basically Fillion maximalist, right? It's basically the idea that this Bored Ape Yacht Club was not about the money, it was about making a mass internet trolling campaign, a la Q, something else that I criticize heavily. And I gotta say, doing the research for this, it felt so similar to QAnon. I mean, it just, the same kind of bullshit all the way through, but yet controlling things and changing things and making, money. That's how it felt. However, I have a little skepticism of this, because if this is the true theory, why isn't there more proof of the founders being obviously racist? That's why the grifter thing still seems equally plausible to me, because we just don't have evidence of one of the founders saying the N-word, for example, right? Yeah. And, that's why, kind of on a scale, it kind of tips back and forth. But, to argue against my own point there, because like I said, this is an evolving area, the OG Q, whoever was the first Q, nobody knows, and Ron Watkins to an extent, had excellent operational security. It is not impossible to separate your identities and to, compartmentalize your racism into one identity. It's not impossible. I think it's unlikely that 4 people could do that, but again, not impossible. And we have to remember that it could be a little of both. So you could have, going back to the founders here, you could have, let's say, the 2 racist ones, Emperor Tomato Ketchup and Gargamel. They could be the ones that are actually racist and doing this as a troll. And then they could be telling, if they're talking about it at all, to Gordon and Sass, they could be telling them that, well, guys, like, this will get us popular on Biz. Nobody will know. There's no proof, like nobody will know. And then, of course, the proof slowly adds up as they add more traits and time goes on, you know what I mean? And then finally, sometime people look back and they're like, oh, shit, we added way too fucking much. It's too obvious now. So, God. All right, break for Q&A. I will read the chat, and then we will jump right into our interview at the end. So if you have a question, just ask it. But I'll scroll up and then I'll read questions. Is it really pronounced Sarif? Yes, it is. Yeah, somebody else said my audio's in the right channel only. Sorry, the last stream was actually 420p. So I don't know how to fix it. It's just gonna be how it'll be. It do be like that sometimes. Okay. I hope their ape yachts get stuck like Bezos. Me too. Okay, Ryder compiled credible evidence that others online had found. Okay. That doesn't change to me. Like, I don't know why we should think that, and I know that this isn't what you're saying, but I don't know why we should think that that makes it a conspiracy theory, because you put stuff together. No, that's not how it works. And nobody owns a fact, like E equals MC squared. Nobody owns that. It's just true. And I think you should cite your sources. I do, but I don't necessarily think that other ways of doing online research are, like worse. And I definitely don't think that, like, the source matters that much either, like, it should be about finding what's true about this stuff, and that's why I eliminated a whole bunch of stuff in the fill-in video. Like, if you notice, we haven't talked about the ARG at all. I don't plan to, I don't care about it. I think that it's so esoteric and so out there. A lot of it's, like, kind of interesting, and I do agree that the ARG shit is a lot like Cicada, which is, again, more Channer fucking bullshit. Like, that they were trying to influence Channers. That's pretty good evidence that they were trying to influence Channers. But it's not like, it doesn't need to be in the top 4. So, yeah. The skull is the reminder that you shall always be willing to put yourself at stake for the life of the whole community. Oh, hashtag not a cult. That's all I can say to that one. Is that really what they say? Jesus Christ. God. Oh. I'll have to look into that if that's not about, like, the Totenkopf, or if it's about, or the BAYC people said that. Jesus. Such a headband is seen in the Renai Circulation opening song. Okay, is it with those exact kanji, though? I'll look. Hold on. I know that song pretty well. Demo son nanja dame. No, it's not the same one. It's a totally different... No, you're wrong. So, yeah. Sucks to suck. Sorry about that. I know you might not be trying to troll, but I mean, like, it's just not, it's not the same kanji, so it has a totally different connotation. Also has a heart, and, not a Japanese flag, Hinomaru. Alright, anyway. Back to our questions. We're almost done, by the way. Our guest is coming soon. NFTs are the perfect drain on the banking system. I mean, that might be crypto in general. This speculative theory seems viable. Whether or not they're racist, they turn a bunch of dog whistles to appeal to the Chan crowd they know is racist. Exactly. Okay, so that's the end of the questions. Let me refresh to make sure, but I think it's the end of the questions. Yeah, that's the end of the questions. Okay, so I will be welcoming our guests now. Mentalist420 is their username. They are complaining in Discord about hearing echo, so I might have to plug in headphones and mess with the audio if they can't hear me. But, hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, you're right on, man. Yeah, I muted my YouTube. I think maybe the echo was on my end.
Yeah, okay. Well, let people know who you are, what you've worked on, that kind of thing. You're very popular on Twitter, much more so than me. So I imagine you've
I
got.
just I just saw the little blurb you put on the stream, and I just want to clarify that I'm not an artist. I'm just part of the community, and I'm a collector. I've been in the crypto scene since 2016, and then I made the jump to NFTs a couple of years ago. The PFP that you're using for the slide, that was pretty much my first NFT, and that's how I got introduced to the community here. So I'm pretty much very involved with several communities, and of course, I have the best intentions for the artists in our space. I believe that there's a big difference between collectibles and just art.
Yeah, I'd agree
It's
with that.
something that we call one of one, which is just the regular artists doing their own thing, whatever realm they want to explore or whatever medium they explore, that's their own stuff. So there's a big difference between these two areas, and I think you're kind of right. When it comes to collectibles, there's a lot of garbage out there, man. So
Well,
uh,
yeah.
shouldn't be shouldn't be confused with real art. Let's call it that way.
Well, I guess I can say that our biggest area of common ground is. I think it's very, quote unquote, based, I guess you could say, to fight racists in your own community. I always think that that's the case. I mean, when gamers or people that play the card games, Magic the Gathering, right? When they try to kick white nationalists and Nazis out of their community, that's good. They should be doing that. They shouldn't want them around. You shouldn't want them around. Nobody should. So that's like right on there. I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that that's the biggest area. And like whether, ultimately whether I think NFTs are a scam or not, or good or not, like that doesn't really matter to proving to people that the largest NFT is racist. Like, okay, even if NFTs are good and I end up being wrong at the end of history, still, you're not going to want racists to be a big part of the story, and you're going to want to, as soon
Yeah,
as you just,
definitely.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think I think a good point to that is also that, from my perspective, it's really not about racism. It's more to do with symbolism. Because as you pointed out from the Q stuff, we're pretty much seeing the same pattern here, right? So
Yeah,
we
and,
got
and
this group of people that put this collection together, and at first it was a different artist, which the art was totally different too, though.
hmm
That's one thing that I don't know if you're aware of,
I
but the
wasn't.
art, yeah, the original art is totally different than what is actually the apes now. So in
Well,
my in my mind, what they're trying to accomplish is just find another way to continue pushing this idealist agenda to control the consciousness and keep the narrative aligned with a narrative outside of the art world, because
yeah,
they realize that the NFTs are, like somebody commented on YouTube right now. The NFTs are a means to make money. It's a means to generate money, right? Same as crypto, man. It's just a
right. Like
means
it
to
didn't
generate
come.
money.
Yeah, like it didn't necessarily come from artists. Most of the art is commission. You know,
Oh,
like
for sure. For
yeah.
collectibles, yeah, for collectibles, it's just creatives either being hired knowingly or unknowingly too, though. A lot of
Oh
times
yeah, I know.
these
And people
artists,
get
they don't
screwed.
know, that they're making art for a PSP project.
Yeah, like oh god, that's such a great point. And that's kind of why
So
furries hate NFTs because a lot of
Yes,
artists
exactly,
in the
man.
community have been scammed.
It's purposely done this way at the same time, just to bring shame to
Yeah,
the real artists.
yeah, like yeah, that's why most furries hate it because it's like it brought like artists don't like to be scammed. You know, like if
Yes,
you commission artwork, you should be honest about what it's going to be used for and what you think the expected returns of that will be. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
and if there's some uncertainty, that's fine. But if the art is the whole point of it, there has to be some kind of continuing commission structure. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
there's
royalties, I think.
transparency, total
Yeah,
transparency, man, and
yeah,
royalties, of course. That's
yeah.
one of the biggest hurdles that is tackled with NFT is the royalty thing. So,
Well, yeah, because
but
like the thing that I
getting
commission
back
art
a little
for.
bit to the yeah,
Sorry, just real quick. The thing that I commission art for is so different than NFTs. You know, I don't make any money off it. I just post them on Twitter as like profile pictures and like reaction images. That it makes sense that there would be no continuing payments after the art's done. But for an NFT that you're still selling, and that's still like making a bunch of money, like the artist should probably even have control of some of the keys. You know?
definitely, man. That's when the artists they do have control over what they put out because it's their signature being sent out there, being monetized. So of course they want to represent themselves in a fair
Yeah,
manner. They don't want to
yeah.
be associated with things that they don't align with at the end of the day. And that's why this is so important. And this, even though the research is being carried out by several people, these people don't want to put their names out there, and that's why Ryder went through the effort of compiling everything, even through his own research, and putting it together in one place where everybody can see it, though, because he understands the nature of the narrative.
Yeah,
He understands the symbolism as well, even though
I wanted to ask you something about the symbolism because you know a lot more about NFT collections. One thing that I was concerned about was that okay, if this is the most successful NFT, people are going to copy it the most, right? And so if they're copying something that they don't know is racist, like, can you speak to that? Like, how much have apes already affected the NFT collectibles that are out there?
it's affected a lot. There's a lot of lazy people out there that they just think like, oh, I just switch a little bit and then I can make my own collection and just make money. So a lot of these opportunists, they're not gonna miss this chance, man, because they didn't become opportunists now. They're the same people that have been running scams through crypto. They're the same people that have been running scams through credit cards.
Yeah,
You name it,
yeah,
those
and
are the same people.
that's the big part of this because okay, I've been in crypto
This
six
this is
years
much
longer than you.
bigger. This is much bigger than the
Yeah,
NFT world, and that's what I'm trying to get at.
I've known about crypto
This
six
is
years longer than you, since 2010. Very, very long time. I have a Bitcoin
awesome.
talk account that goes back to 2013. So I really have known about it
Yeah,
for ages. I remember it was posted. It
yeah,
was posted on 4chan's G Technology board, which was my main board a lot. When it started, and people were talking about like how you can mine it on your computer. With CPU mining,
yeah.
and then the very early GPU mining, and like there were all these funny threads about like, holy shit, got my electric bill. It's like $500. Like I remember all that shit. But yeah, the people that were scamming back then are the people that are scamming right now with NFTs.
The
Like,
same people.
and
Yeah,
it's fucking
man.
strange because it's like that was 10 years ago, but they're still at it. They're still scamming. It's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, it's not really strange because there's no more coincidences here. You don't. There's no way you should be believing that these scammers are new. There's no way you should believing that all the symbolism being inserted in the apes or any other collection for that matter is coincidence. This is all orchestrated by the same people that are out there controlling the narrative. Because at the end of the day, the biggest war is the war on consciousness. So they realize that through the art, they can still operate, they can still deploy their own machinations successfully because there's nothing more powerful than imagery. Because
Yeah, that makes
subliminally,
sense. That makes sense.
nobody's gonna pay attention to it. They're just gonna think, oh, it's a cool ape. oh, this dude is buying it, and now Madonna has one. I have to get one.
Right. And the way
They
that
don't
they
care about
gave
anything else, you know?
and the way that they gave those apes to the celebrities is so shady because people think that like celebrities are just super rich. They're not really most of the time. They're most of the time really bad with money, right? And so
Yeah,
and so if you just tell like a random celebrity, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000, sign an NDA," most of them need the money enough that they'll say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay." You know what I mean? Without even really
yes,
checking it out. And so that to me, the fact that they had NDAs, and now most of these, that's a huge part of the grift because it binds all of these popular names to this project and says if you like, well, it can't be racist because look, famous black guy owns
yes,
one. You know, it
yes,
can't be racist. Madonna owns one. So you just don't know what you're talking about, Fred, fat
yes.
furry dumbass on the
It's
internet. You know?
I think it goes back to the original point I was trying to make. Uh, at the surface, it looks racist. It does have racist symbolism as well. But in reality, it's not about racism. It's about idealism. There's a big difference. So when you get into the
So,
racist argument, they could easily diffuse it by saying, "Oh, I'm Cuban. Oh, I'm Turkish. Oh,
well,
I'm this or I'm that." You know,
as I
I never said
mentioned,
the N word in my
yeah.
life.
Well, I mean, as I mentioned,
There's
most of the users of 8chan's Bullboard were either, from the Middle East or from like Latin America. I'm not even
exactly,
joking
man.
because they were like, okay, there is this. It's really cringe, but it's really true in far right, alt right circles. People from countries that have colorism, basically the whiter people in those countries who are the children of the people that colonized those countries. They
Yeah,
believe they're
correct.
white and that they're superior to the natives of those countries. In a lot of cases, Colombia, Peru, Argentina,
Correct.
Uruguay especially. Oh my God, Chile. So
Oh yeah, I'm from Venezuela, so I
oh
totally understand.
oh yeah, you totally understand. I mean, Venezuela is one of the only countries that's based enough to do something about it. Sorry, I don't want to get too political here, but Cuba. But Turkey's kind of the same way because
Same way,
yeah,
man.
like there were all these threads on Poll. I remember where Muslim people, were saying like Arabs are white, we're white, like you don't see us as white,
Yes,
you call us so-called, they use the slur like shit skin, right? But that doesn't like they wanted to say we're white, and they would fight.
that's the
Yeah,
idealism.
they fight hard about that. And so, like the idea that, well, I can't be racist. I'm from Mexico.
Yep.
I'm from Argentina. That doesn't matter, sweetie. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, that makes me more suspicious of you. Even though I know that the average white person in America wouldn't know that might be a reason to, that for me that just increased their suspicion. That's I did want to ask you
You go.
though, which one of the true
Yeah, go
theories?
ahead.
Which one of the two theories do you think is true? Then, I think I know what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
I think a little bit of all of them, because originally, maybe this started as a meme, Originally, maybe just started as a way to troll people, but knowing the history behind these founders, in particular Gordon, which his father is, has mafia ties that date way back.
Yeah, go into that a little bit. I read a little bit about it, but if you could go into it.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up here because I don't want to.
Yeah, this is era now, right?
Yeah,
Gordon
this
Ryan.
era now. Correct. So let me pull it up here.
The one with the laser eyes, by the way. The one who I think is the boss.
Yes, with the
So,
laser
yeah.
eyes. The public figure, of course, the public figure has to be the most presentable,
Right. And
the
he is the
best
boss,
speaking
right?
guy, the most. Yeah, you can say he's the boss. The most. Yeah, that's gotta be a public figure, So his dad, Don Arono, he was murdered by mafia-style professional killers on February 3rd, 1987. During the last days of his life, He's reported to have made numerous personal calls to Bush. He had ties to Bush as well. So
Sorry,
this is a
which
little
Bush?
expert forum.
Is it H.W. Bush or George W.?
Yeah, not George, not W. The all Bush.
Ah, okay, H.W. Okay.
Yes. So Bush Senior. And of course, they lived in Florida as well, so everything is yachts, everything is boats. His dad even owned a boating company too, which seems like a lot of scams were ran through that company as well.
And
But
that kind of points to like race. I mean, especially if he was involved in drug trafficking. Again, it points to
yep,
kind of colorism because in Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela to a degree, not now, but
yep,
back
oh
in the
yeah,
day, the people that ran the cartels were usually again the children of the white colonialists. So
yep,
yeah, that's wow. That is it. Really goes deep, doesn't it? I mean, and
extremely
this is
deep because
speculation,
right
but
now
yeah,
all the focus is on the quote unquote Nazi symbolism. There's a lot of more symbols in there, man. There's a lot of transgender symbolism. There's a lot of transhuman symbolism. There's a lot of, I mean, the reference is made already to Pizzagate as well.
I
So
mean,
there's much more than
yeah.
just racism, quote unquote.
Well,
That's why I say
what I don't like
this
is
is
that
about idealism.
yeah, what I don't like is that people just attack Ryder Rips as if that somehow changes anything. Like you could even be just totally against Ryder. Like he's a grifter, whatever, his NFTs are
Yeah,
scams. He broke the law, he's breaking the trademark law, he's breaking the copyright law, he's breaking all the laws, he's just totally like you can believe that. And you still have to concede the point that there is obvious racist dog whistles in the NFTs. Like he's still right about that. So I don't know.
but at
People
the
just
same
argue
time
in bad
it's a
faith.
perfect at the perfect time it's a perfect opportunity to evade the actual issue. It becomes focused on now a writer is a bad person. It takes away from the actual problem,
Right.
which is
Because
the agenda of idealism. That's what I'm interested in more.
yeah. Because
Of course,
nobody
as
would
an
have
NFT,
sorry.
as an NFT artist, you can say whatever you want about writer, man.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with the fact that what he did with the GordonGonner.com website and what Fillion did with his video, this is what it's all about, man. It's about the message that there's something wrong here.
I mean, I
And it
totally agree.
predates
And
NFTs, man.
they reached to me eventually. Somebody who I don't know how much I can help, but I do like have press contacts. I do, if for example, people are already talking to me about like the Wall Street Journal and Forbes that they did bad pieces. I mean, I have
Yeah.
given so many quotes to media about 8chan, Jim Watkins, Q, that I tend to know the technology reporter at like every one of these places. And so, or an editor. And that doesn't mean that I can just control what's in there. Obviously not. But I can at least send that person facts, and be like, what's in this article is not true. Or you totally missed the point here. It doesn't matter if Ryder broke the trademark law. Like, that's not the issue. It's really not the issue.
Yeah, which, by the way, trademarks that are not registered anyways.
Oh, they aren't?
No. They are still pending.
But like, okay. Oh, even if they're registered, isn't
And
it a
the
parody?
the biggest trademark which was quote unquote violated is the word ape. That's the main issue here right now.
Oh my God.
It's the use of the word ape.
So, I don't know how much you know about the lawsuit, but if you could tell me, is there any copyright portion to it, or is it just trademark?
No, there's no copyright about it. It's all about trademark.
Wow. I mean, that surprises me because when I heard that there was a lawsuit, I assumed it would be a copyright lawsuit because obviously the art is copied, right? And so it's just trademark? That's insane. They're not
Yeah,
going
it's
to win
just a
that, I
trademark.
don't think.
So I mean, if you want to talk about the art, that's another subject as well, though. because this is precisely another point Ryder is making, which is the provenance or the source of the token. At the end of the day, NFT is a token. It's a crypto coin that points to a server where there's an image stored.
Right.
So if Ryder mints an NFT that points to their IPFS, which is the image
Is
of
that
the
what he
ape.
did? So he didn't use a
Yes,
different
that's what he did.
IPFS. He did not use a different IPFS.
So he's not copying anything. That's the point. He's not copying anything, literally. And secondly, there's no way you can copy an NFT because one coin is totally different than another coin. They're different hatches.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I actually read the BAYC contract. BAYC, I know some
Yeah,
of it.
okay, good.
I know the
I mean, that's
programming
something,
language.
that's something crypto people understand, but the regular people don't understand. They just think it's a
Right.
copy because it shows the same image, though. So, of course, in the eyes of the people, they're the same image.
Yeah, I mean,
But in reality,
I might
they're
have been a little,
completely different.
yeah, I might have been a little too hard on it, calling it a knockoff. I thought, okay, I maybe
That's
should
why
have,
that's why the lawsuit is funny, man,
yeah.
because they're literally saying that Ryder is false advertising, and that's not the case.
I mean, I should have read
That's
his
completely
contract.
not the case.
Yeah, I should have read his contract. I guess, okay, you remember when Fillion in their video said that these NFTs don't contain any racist imagery? When he said that, I made a false assumption that, okay, so Ryder must have used a different IPFS to make sure that there would not be any racist imagery. But I guess what you're saying
No, not
is,
at all.
yeah, no, that what Ryder
That's
did was he,
beautiful, man. That's what makes
yeah,
the conceptual art so beautiful, man.
I actually agree.
And
That is
and
very clever. Yeah,
another thing is that the original apes, they have the racist traits, if you want to call them that. But the Ryder apes, they have no traits. That's not part of the metadata. So there's no traits on RRBAYC.
I see.
There's
Well,
only a serial number that it goes by mint. It doesn't go by it. For example, if I mint the first Ryder ape, doesn't necessarily have to match with the first Board Yacht Club that was minted.
I see.
I could mint the ape 10,000 as the number one on Ryder's contract. So there's also not that parallel either. Identical parallel.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'm pretty sure of this, but you understand the NFT technology better than I do. I So speaking of the traits, a lot of people were trying to say that there's no way that they can assign a certain ape with certain traits to a certain number. I don't think that's true, because I read the contract and they set the IPFS base URI, and so that means that they can basically, at the time that they're like making the NFT contract, right, they can decide which files are going to be in there, and they can just move them around, But because
Yes,
there wasn't,
in the contract they used, that was the case,
yeah, there
and
was
it's
no
already been
randomization.
proven.
It's not like
It's already been
CryptoKitties.
proven with a few of the apes that the image was changed. That's already proven too.
Yeah,
Now with the new contracts that are probably fair, you cannot do that. Once you write it, that's done, and you cannot change anything. But
well,
not
okay,
when
but I
when
mean,
the
come
apes
on.
did it though.
We had CryptoKitties. By we, I just mean like the world, right? The crypto world had
Yeah.
CryptoKitties. I believe way back in 2015. I might be wrong about when it started, but CryptoKitties already had this randomization. Where the traits were part of the
Yeah.
contract, and so they removed that so that they could actually fuck with like the art and stuff. Because with
Yes, of
CryptoKitties, you
course,
couldn't. Yeah,
man. Of course, because that's part of the controlling the narrative. If you
yeah,
are able to manipulate certain numbers that are more symbolic than others, of course you're gonna do it. If that's the
yeah.
mentality of the group.
That's so fucked. My God. Because, okay, one of the main criticisms of NFTs that, like, people like me, furries, I guess you could say, have, is that it's obviously so computer generated, Like,
Yes.
they all kind of start to look the same after a while. Like, okay, it's a collection of 10,000 apes, but every ape
Yes.
looks like, something that a child put together in The Sims. You know, like it's not
Yeah, it's
even,
even worse, man.
yeah,
There's
worse.
worse than that,
Yeah,
you know?
like it's not a unique character, like a furry character that has all these expressions and all these, you know what I mean? And so sometimes some
Oh yeah,
NFTs,
so of course it has its own purpose, because they must be generated. So each
yeah.
layer must align with the next. Otherwise, you get misaligned art at the end of the day.
I don't want to keep
And
you
that's
too long, so I'm gonna set an end time for this. We'll
okay.
say 9:20. Is that okay? It's 9:06 p.m. now EST.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, continue though, please.
Yeah, so I just like to emphasize again that there's a huge difference between collectibles and generative art, quote unquote, and real art, which is one of one, unique. Each piece is unique. The artist creates one piece and it has nothing to do with the next one.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like
Maybe unless you're a photographer that you want to do a collection of a theme, but that's as far as it goes. At the end of the day, each picture is completely different than the other one. So there's nothing similar with each other. So they're two totally different realms. The one of one art and the collectible projects.
Well, because one of the ways that CryptoKitties way back in the day was criticized, I think rightly in some cases, was that it was kind of like gambling. Because if you paid the mint fee, you could get a rarer CryptoKitty than not. And sometimes you get super
Yeah.
lucky, and you'd pay the mint fee, which, don't quote me, I have no idea what the mint fee used to be, but let's say it's like one ETH, right? So obviously Ethereum didn't cost that much, maybe
Yeah.
15, but, if you paid the one Ethereum, you would potentially get a kitty, that costed like 20 or 30, and that was just totally random. It was just up to the contract. So uh, that was something that like the CryptoKitties were criticized for, and that's it goes to your point that like collectibles versus actual art. I mean, I I don't, my problem is I don't see any actual utility for putting real actual art, like art that I commission in an NFT
Oh, yeah.
blockchain.
Well, I can talk a little bit about
Go ahead,
that
go
without
ahead.
taking too much time.
I can give you
So that you
the last period. You can try to red pill me on NFTs.
Awesome, awesome. So the main utility for the artist, why as an artist, let's say I'm an artist that I exhibit in all the biggest galleries in the world. So what is the incentive for me to move into the NFT realm? Well, first of all, there's no middleman. So I can set my royalties and they're forever because it lives on the blockchain. So now my art is immortalized in the blockchain. That's the biggest utility as an artist, man.
so
That now you know that your art is going to be there forever.
so what you're saying is in traditional art, if I understand the argument, in traditional art, when the artist sells it to the first customer, they will never see any royalties after that. It will get transferred between person to person, and the original
Correct.
artist, yeah, will not get anything else.
Even if they do it through the gallery, maybe the gallery
Right,
does a private sale and the artist never sees anything from it either.
right, okay, but
Besides the fact that they get stiffed for like 50% sometimes.
but in a contract or in an NFT contract, you're saying that you could hard code the artist's key, and then say, okay, every time this NFT moves between person to person, you have to send 20% of the price to the artist. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And that's the way it works.
I mean, I can kind of see that. I just don't understand why you can't do it with the traditional model, with traditional, legal contracts.
I mean, you can still do it in the traditional sense, but there are the other utilities that now you don't need to carry around a 20 by 20 frame when you move from house to house, for example, though. Or let's say your house burns and now your biggest painting that was worth 5 million is burned. Now what do you do?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
you lost the biggest piece of art you ever collected in your life.
I'm sure you know that most physical art, though, is actually stored in like free zones. Like actually in
Yeah,
warehouses
for
that they
sure, for
sign.
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just making an example because not a lot of people have access to those things either, though.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
mean, you,
true.
you
I
go to the
mean, yeah.
regular galleries, you go to the regular exhibitions, and you have the average person buy a painting for $5,000,
Right.
and of course they cherish that painting because they know the artist, or for other reasons, but they cherish that painting, they bring it home and they want to show it to everybody. But what happens when that painting decays? Now you don't have anything.
I mean, I guess what we could say is I can see kind of, and I know that some artists are actually doing this, like doing both, selling an actual painting, but then having an NFT version that they will also sell
Correct.
to the whoever buys the painting. And so, because obviously, there's never going to be, I don't think there's ever going to be a day where humans are not going to want to have like real paintings, that are really big because they're
Oh,
really
I
impressive,
agree. Definitely.
But I don't know. I mean, I'd have to think about it some more. But if what like the very limited version of NFTs that we've talked about, I can sort of see the utility of. Yes, I guess I've taken like
Yes.
25% of the red pill.
That's okay. No problem. It's something that, yeah, I just have to think about it and, just do some more research, check out the real artists, check out their trajectory here, because there's a lot of artists in the NFT world that they are very successful in the contemporary world. They've exhibited everywhere, man. And now they realize that through this tool, because that's what it is. This is a tool. You can use it for good or you can use it for bad, but it's just a tool. So these artists that are very, very, very successful in the real world, now they're understanding the power of NFTs, man, because now they really control their own careers.
I okay. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up though, and that's the fact that I think that even for some digital art, it will never make sense to have an NFT version. Like, for example, uh, in my first recording about NFTs, that would be Hellworld Dispatch 3, I said that in like in the furry art world, and this also kind of goes to like anime art, that kind of stuff. It's not really about the artists themselves most of the time. It's good to be able to say, well, I got a drawing from X famous artist or Y famous artist in furry, but most of the time, what people actually want in that world is just the ability to have someone draw their commission, and that someone can really be anyone. It can be somebody on Fiverr. So it's more about the actual result than it is about being able to prove who drew it. A lot of furry artists don't even want, like, to have their names on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's some of
Yeah.
the art's embarrassing. So that's another thing. But I understand that there is art out there where what gives it value is the name of the artist. Obviously, the
Correct.
commission structure.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the
And
good
through the
thing is that you're
blockchain,
not so
through the
pilled like
blockchain,
some people are, where they try to tell me all art is going to be NFTs and everything will be NFTs. You know what I
no,
mean? So
no,
when people come
no.
at me with that stuff, I just can't deal with them. But your limited
That's
version, I
that's
guess, is not
utopia.
not
That's just utopia. I mean, it's just like the word decentralization. It's just an utopia. Yeah, it sounds good, but that's not the case, man. It's gonna be really, really difficult to get
yeah,
there,
and it's not
and it's
technically
not for
feasible.
everybody anyway. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's not technically feasible.
So
Most
the
decentralized projects.
yes, of course, man. The other thing I wanted to mention about the utility is that is what you just pointed out is the provenance. Now in blockchain, it's gonna be recorded that this artist made this piece of art and it's stored on the blockchain. So now you have authentication as well on behalf of the artist and on behalf of the collector too, though. So that's another thing to keep in mind too.
Have you ever heard of the conceptual art named Comedian 2019, the banana on the wall? I'm sure you have.
Yes, yes,
So that was always my example of an NFT for people, like something that I think, because I would always get asked, like, okay, what could be, in Fred's mind, an NFT that might have some legitimacy as an NFT, right? That was always what I would point to. That Comedian
yes,
is pure conceptual art. It's not the banana, it's not the tape, it's not the wall. It is
yes,
it is the name Mauricio Catalan 2019 comedian.
yes,
It's
exactly,
a
man.
symbol, it's a concept. And
This is the performance.
yes, it's a performance exactly. There you go. Yeah. And I so I would say, okay, in the world, I think that that is most likely to be something that could be made an NFT legitimately. And, I think Catalan would probably do pretty well if he did something like that. You know what I mean? But
Oh yeah, I'm pretty
obviously I
sure
wouldn't,
too.
yeah, I wouldn't try to tell a genius like him what to do. Okay, I think we can end it there. We're 4 minutes early, but that was a really good conversation.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have a lot to think about, but just to tie this video off, BAYC obviously contains racist dog whistles. Your point is good that it's mostly, kind of idealism and maybe not necessarily. Because there's two kinds of racism, right? There's the racism that is the hatred of minorities. And then there's the racism that the Nazis had, which is a little different because they even had black people serving in
Yes.
their army. So it's not that they necessarily hated minorities 100%. Oh, he just dropped off, and I didn't do that. I did not cause that, but I will just. Oh, he's back. Um, yeah, I. You dropped off.
Yeah, I think I lost you for a second.
Yeah, you
I'm
did.
back.
Yeah, no problem. I was just kind of cutting the video, and I'm about to press end stream, but I did want to end it with just the thought that you are right, that there is clearly this kind of idealism, at least in some of the founders, that they wanted to, because why make art to influence the world, period. That's why people do
Yeah,
it. And
exactly, man.
why make symbols to influence the world? And if the things that you're putting in your art are obviously racist dog whistles, then clearly you want to influence things in a racist way, even if you only initially did it as a grift. It doesn't matter so much, because the
Yes.
result is bad. The result is still the same.
Manipulation.
Yeah, the
Yes.
result is still the
Exactly,
same no
man.
matter which theory is true. Like, that's sometimes what I say about, Q. Like, it doesn't matter if Q was originally a troll or if Q was originally a believer. It doesn't really matter because the results they had were so negative that, trying to interrogate their mind at the time they started it is almost a fool's errand. So that is as good a place as any to end it. Obviously, I don't stream very often, so I don't know. But I guess I'll give you a chance to say your accounts and anything you want to say, and then I will cut the stream.
Well, I think that's perfect. Yeah, that's I can also wrap it up that way. It's about idealism at the end of the day. It's another avenue for these controllers continue their narrative and to continue pushing their own agenda through the most powerful medium, which is imagery. And, if they are able to bring up these cadets, because in my mind, that's what these guys are. They're just cadets or agents or whatever you want to call them. They really don't know what they're doing. They're simply, quote unquote, happy to now have money to do whatever they want, unknowingly to the real controllers that are above them. So that's another reason why all the money is pouring into this collection. So, yeah,
Yeah,
nice
if
talking to
you
you, man. And then we can do it anytime
yeah
if
if
you
you
want.
if you want to say your Twitter account and stuff, and then I'll end it.
My Twitter account is @mentalist420.
Okay, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it,
All
and
right.
I'm ending the stream right now. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks.